Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another video. It's a little windy. We have something very important to talk about in this intro, and it's how daylight savings is ruining our lives. Alright, we're gonna cross. I don't understand it, okay? Why is it 6:30 right now, or like 6 o'clock, and it feels it's as dark as it's 9 p.m. during the time where we have less daylight? Why do we move our time zone forward where the daylights end sooner when we don't have as much daylight during the day? It makes absolutely no sense. We as a society do not have to conform to it anymore. We have the power to change it. I think we should start a petition, because the fact that it's depressingly dark at 5 o'clock nowadays, it's not fun. Anyways, we're outside Boston Billiard Club, going to play some cash, play some poker. That's what you're here for. Anyways, hopefully you enjoy the video. Let's hop inside. It's way too cold as well. Let's do it. Hopping into the 2-5 game, first hand in, second hand dealt in, pocket aces. What a dream life we live. We're playing four-handed and we get the button and small blind to limp. With that said, I raise things up to $30 and we only get the button limper to make the call. Off to a flop heads up, it comes ace, king, 4 rainbow. Flopping top sets, second hand dealt in, it's not too bad. I decided to c-bet $30 here, just got a c-bet on an ace high board all the time. He makes the call, but looks very reluctant to do so. We'll see what happens on the turn when it comes the 9 of spades. Brings in the backdoor flush draw. Given the tell I saw on his flop call, I decided to check to be deceptive, trying to see what happens. And with this check, he throws out a bet of $100. Pretty large bets, and having top set here, I block a lot of the strong hands he can have. So with that said, putting him on some sort of a bluffing hand, I flat and see a river. The river is a 5, it's a total brick, and once again, I decide to check here. Without too much thinking, he announces 2 magical words. It is all in for $430-ish. We snap it off, and he announces that he has a pair of 9s, showing us 8-9 off suits. We're going to win this one with top set. Happy to take this one down, and this is quite a good start for the second hand dealt in. 4 hands later. Still on the same table, picking up aces once again. I opened it up, we're under the gun this time to $20, and we get some action as the small blind and big blind call. So 3 ways to a flop, which comes deuce, 5-5, 2 clubs. This is a super dry board, and given that the small blind has shown the ability to bluff, with weakness shown, I decided to check it back when action checks to me. The turn comes the 10 of hearts. Once again, action checks to me, and I feel like I definitely have to bet here for value. So with that said, I throw out $40, and unfortunately, both players fold. We're going to take this one down. Second time getting aces through 6 hands in. Yeah, pretty sweet life we live. Still sitting in this must-move 2-5 game, we pick up 10-7 of hearts, playing 5-handed now when we're on the big blind. The cutoff opens it up to $20. The small blind makes the call, and probably can be folding this, but I'm bored. We make the call. The flop comes 10-7 deuce, 2 clubs. All right. That's why we don't fold 10-7 suited. We flop top 2. The cutoff throws out a c-bet of $50. The small blind makes the call, and now onto me. I think this is a perfect spot to go for that check raise with against 2 players given this action. So we're out of position from the pre-flop raiser. We decided to size this check raise up to 5x to $250. Both players are playing 1k deep, and obviously on this board we want to get stacks in as much as possible, but unfortunately both players are going to fold. But the first 3 hands we play, we're running pretty hot. This next hand here, we get moved from the must move to the main game. So here in this new table, ace-10 offsuit in the small blind with a button straddle. I don't love playing from this position and probably can easily fold, but with ace-10 off, playing 6-handed seems decent enough to open, so I sized to $40. Action folds back to the button player, and he decides to defend the button straddle and make the call. Flop comes queen, 9-3, 2 clubs, and totally breaking out on this board, sitting with ace-10 high. I decided to check out of position, and he actually checks it back. The turn comes another 3. And I check here, although this is a very good card for us. Sometimes I can bet to protect my ace-10 high, but he doesn't check it back. He throws out a bet of $40. Having a very good bluff catcher here, I think folding here is probably a mistake a lot of the time. I defend and make the call for 40. The river comes an interesting card. It's another queen. Now I obviously feel really good about my ace high, and not that good about it when he throws out another bet of $130. This double paired board on the river here seems like a pretty bad spot for him to be bluffing on. He's a pretty confident player, so I feel like him bluffing here is not going to work out too often. Especially river bets aren't really going to work out. Like, what am I really up against? Sometimes I'm up against a 3, like ace 3 or something like that. As played, I don't put too many queens in his range. I make the call, and surely enough, he shows us queen 10, so not great for us. Nice hand, Matt. This next hand in, a few orbits later, picking up pocket 7s from the cutoff, I decide to open things up to $20. This is the third time in a row that I'm raising and opening in this spot, so I've been pretty active so far. We only get one player to make the call on the button, and we're off to a flop. The flop comes ace, ace 4, 2 hearts, out of position on a paired board. I think we can bet to protect our pair here, deny some equity from overcards or flush draws. So I throw out a bet of $20, and he decides on a call. The turn comes the 3 of spades, and I don't really think that this card here is going to change too much, so I decided to just check. Probably go into check call mode on this turn card. He does throw out a bet of $65 into 80, which is pretty large. It feels like he wants to have a fold more often, and I feel like with this larger bet, seems like he's trying to polarize himself, but I don't think he really needs to polarize himself on this board. Any bet is going to be trips or a flush draw. So with that said, obviously I'm not folding just yet. I make the call for 65. Off to a river, which comes the 5 of clubs. There is a 4-liner out there. How many deuces are in his range? I'm not entirely sure. With that said, I check, hoping to get the showdown, but it doesn't get to that point. He now assembles a bet of $140. Now I tank. It's a pretty large-ish sizing, about 2/3 pot. I check my cards to see if I have a heart, and I do not. I think given how this hand is played, it's a fairly close spot, and I think my decision is going to rely on the turn sizing that he decided to choose out there. Seemed like 65 into 80 was more of a bet that wanted more folds than calls. I felt like he really didn't need to polarize himself if he had trips, and just might size down a little bit more if he did have trips. So with that said, I have a pretty good bluff catcher, or at least good enough. I decided to toss in a call since folding is quite boring. He announces king high, so assume he had a king high flush draw and doesn't want to show. So I show my pocket 7s, and we're going to take down the pot. This next hand, we move out of that table onto another one that seemed like had more action in it, and this first hand on this other table, ace-king offsuit on the big blind, and we're playing 5-handed. There are 2 limpers to me, and obviously we are not going to be limping it or checking our option. We raise to $30, and both limpers make the call. So 3 ways to a flop, which comes ace, ace, king. Wow, what the hell can we do about this? So when it checks to me, I decided to play this a little bit trickier with the entire board locked up. Not too many value hands I think that I can get money from, so I check. The cutoff throws out a really large sizing of $75. The small blind folds, and obviously, as played, we're just going to be making the call. The turn comes the 9 of spades, not a card that really changes too much, so I check once again. He throws out another bet of $100, and just sitting with the nuts, I'm just going to call once again, hoping he's on some sort of draw, and let's just hope he gets there on the river. The river comes a 10, so I guess Queen Jack could get there, but I don't really know how often he has that. Like I said, I'm just going to check it again for the 3rd time, and he fires out $325. This is beautiful. He's sizing up big time, and he's playing really deep. I've got a $1,500 left in my stack. He covers me, so trying to find a sizing that we can check raise to, sitting with the nuts, and I feel like a sizing of $900 to $1,000 could do the trick, but since I'm sitting with $1,500 total, if he's going to call 900 or 1,000, he might as well call 1,500. So with that said, I decided to rip it all in, but he snap folds. Seems like he was bluffing the whole way. Unfortunate he didn't get there with like the heart draw of some sort. This next hand, we have King Jack offsuit in the small blind with an under the gun straddle. Action folds to the button, who decides to open limp. Here, out of position with 2 Broadway cards, we decide to raise it up to $55. The unlearned player makes the call. He's been playing a fairly wide range. He's the same player from last hand who can definitely be bluffing. And the button who limped calls as well. Off to a flop, which comes Queen 9-4 all diamonds. Sitting with the Jack of Diamonds, we have an over, a gutter, Jack high flush draw, a few things going on. So I decided to just check here, not fully connecting with the board, and the other two players check it around. The turn comes a Jack now, which makes the dynamic really interesting. After the action checks around the flop, I assume I'm good here a lot of the time. So I decided to bet $65, charge for some diamond draws, but I hold the Jack of Diamonds myself. But we get action. Unlearned player and the button both make the call, which is going to be pretty interesting. Lots of draws out there, and I assume, like I said, not that many Queen X's when the flop action checks around. The river comes a 4, so the diamond draw bricks out. I think that sometimes I can go for very thin value, but I decided to just check here since the unlearned player has been shown to be bluffing quite often. Here, when action checks to him, he does throw out a bet, and it's a sizable one of $300. The button thinks and ends up making the fold, and now onto me. I don't think there's any real reason as to how I'm losing this hand, unless I'm losing against 4X who rivered trips. If he does have 4X, then kudos to him, but I can't find too many flushes or higher Queen X holdings that will be here right now given the action. So I make the call, give him some action as he can be bluffing quite often, and he shows us Queen 7 offsuit. Yeah, this one left me a little confused, but we're going to lose this one, lose a pretty sizable pot on the river. Unfortunate for us. Next, picking up pocket kings on the big blind, and the player to my left is straddling, so I'm going to straddle out there. Unfortunately, no action in front of us as it folds around, so I open it up to $40, and a good buddy of mine, Shane, makes the call, who's under the gun. Going to a flop, which comes King 4 deuce 2 clubs. What a flop. Having the board once again totally locked up, playing pretty much blind versus blind. I decided to check. He throws out a bet of $35, and given the line I've taken so far, certainly not going anywhere, I call 35. The turn comes the King of Clubs. Well, this just got pretty easy to play, turning quads. I check once again. He now bets $65, and I'm not going to blow him out of any hand. I'm not sure what he could have right now, to be quite honest with you. So with that said, I make the call. The river comes the 9 of spades, and for the third time, I check because I don't know what value hands he can be betting with right now. Maybe sometimes a flush. But he does throw out another third bet, triple barreling to $150. Like I said, if he has a flush, then I guess I can get some value from that. But it seems like he's bluffing a decent amount since he obviously doesn't have any kings here. So I check raise to a sizing of $600, just 4xing it. After I put it over, he thinks for quite some time, says that he can't really fold in this spot, so pretty interesting to see what he can show here, but he does put in the call. I announce my high hand since there is a high hand going on. We show down our quads, and he shows us ace queen of clubs. Pretty interesting to not see a 3-bet pre-flop. Really didn't put him on too many flushes, I guess, but quite the cooler there as he turns the nut flush and I somehow turn quads. We're running pretty well so far, and happy to take this one down, and hopefully our high hand holds for our bonus. Shortly after the pocket kings hand, we pick up 8-9 of diamonds in the cutoff. We've been running really hot so far. The player to my right opens up the action to $20, and we're sitting in position of him. Haven't really been 3-betting too much, so with that said, let's put in a 3-bet now. We size to $60. Action folds around to him, and he decides to make the call. In position, let's see a flop. Flop comes Queen 4 5 2 diamonds. He checks to us, and sitting with the flush draw here, certainly putting in that c-bet since 9 high can't take it down. I c-bet $55, and he thinks for a long time, and after thinking things over, he makes the call. Off to a turn, which comes the Queen of Spades. Once again, he checks, and I think after his long tank on the flop, I can comfortably rep this. I can comfortably rep a lot of strong hands as well. So let's put some pressure on lower pocket pairs like hands like 7s through 10s. With that said, I sized to $155, trying to maximize some fold equity here since we only have 9 high. He tanks for quite some time, and at the end of the day, decides on a fold. Happy to get this bluff through. Happy to take this one down. Alrighty, as if we didn't get aces enough in this session, we pick it up once again, and there's a button straddle here, and I think we're on the hijack. So I open things up to $40 here with the button straddle, and it folds back to the button, who does make the call and defends. We get some action here, as he's good for providing action. The flop comes King 8-5 Rainbow. Like I said, this is the same player that bluffed when I had Ace-King on the Ace-Ace-King board. So with that said, I decided to check here on a pretty dry board, but he snap checks it back, unfortunately. The turn comes a 3. Obviously, we've got to put some money in here now, so I bet $50 for value, and pretty quickly, he decides on a call. The river comes an ace. How the hell do we keep making sets with aces here? When I look at him, he has his hand ready to check, is what it seems like. So obviously, we are not going to be checking. I throw out a bet of $150. He thinks it over for a little bit before putting in chips for a call. Show our top set, show our rivered set, and we are taking this one down.
Quad King's hand won the high hand bonus, so I got a minimum of $300, max of $2,000. I'll drop it. Like up top? Alright, yeah, drop it and see how it goes. I love getting it. I love getting it. Hey, you got 0. You can drop it again from the top. If I take you in a pot, it's only for
$100. And I was the guy that funded the quads for him to win this hand.
Thank you, Shane.
You got it, bud.
Thanks for the 400.
Alright guys, wrapping up this vlog here inside because it's so freaking cold outside. It's unreal. Anyways, wrapping up the session. Really nice to get that high hand bonus at the end. Shout out to Shane. He was on the short end of the stick there, having ace queen of clubs, a good buddy of mine. But we won the high hand bonus, which is nice, $400 bonus. So if we played for 3 hours, we were in the game for 1,000, and we didn't have to add on today. This was really nice. Totally different from last videos because we got absolutely smoked. In for 1,000, out for 29.20, and then we won the $400. So on top of that, total out for 33.20. In 3 hours played. Very nice to bounce back from last session, which was tough. We ran really well from the very beginning. I mean, we had so many sets, quads. Always a good time. Anyways, thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.